Morning all, John here for a Thursday morning. It's a bit damp, it's a bit dank, it's a bit overcast, a bit fog here and there. Not the best day, but not the worst. So we're looking at this lighthouse. Now I've got to get this finished today. It's gone on far too long. Having said that, it's all been done in real time. So there's lots of things that have come up in this, and we're going to explore after finishing what the tips are and what things you could have learned from this. So without any further ado, I'm going to start getting on with some finer detail, foreground, and then speak afterwards about what I hope you've learned over the course of the 4 videos. Right, as you can see, I've started to do a little bit of the grass area. I don't want to give this grass area much of my time, so I've kind of just chosen 3 colours, a dark green, a light green, and I'm going to borrow my green grey from the other set that I was telling you about right at the start. So what I would probably do at this point is to just colour in a basic green all the way for the foreground. Within this grass, I know there are parts of brown showing through, so I'm going to lay that brown in the shape or direction of what I want this grass field to go into, which is going to be from right to left. That said, I'm then going to get a lighter green, or yellow green I should say. Now what I'm going to do, first, sorry, is I'm going to lay in a little piece of this dark green that I was telling you about, just again in the direction of the grass. So we've got grass, we've got greens, we've got browns, we've got everything. Now we just need to lay some detail on top, which is quite simple. So I'm going to get a lighter yellow, yellow green I should say, and I'm just going to take notice of where the brighter areas should be. Now the brighter areas should be over this side, because the sun's coming from that direction, and we can tell that because of the houses and the lighthouse. Now over this side we've got this brick wall, haven't we? So I'm going to try to make it brighter going through here, because all this field will probably be quite bright because there's nothing obscuring it, no shadow areas in the way apart from what the ruts are in the field. So I'm going to try to just leave a small shadow where that brick wall is. Now it's hard to, because I'm making this up, and this doesn't actually show on the photograph, it's hard to know where the shadow of that lighthouse would come. But I'm going to imagine that it's going to fall somewhere in this area. So what I'm doing is I'm shading around it. So I've got a nice piece of shadow going on there, and that shadow will come out a little bit further than that brick wall. And I can darken and lighten that area to my heart's content, but what I do need to do is to ensure that there's brightness around it. So I'm laying in a yellow green. It's not going to be the brightest yellow green. I'm just letting the paper at this point do what I want it to do, or do what it wants to do, and then just take off the pastel. I'm laying the pastel on its side, and just in some areas pressing a little bit harder so I get a brighter look, and then in other areas not pressing quite so hard. Now, as I say, this is all made up, so you know, you can have a lot more detail on this. However, you don't really need to, because the detail to this picture has come in that lighthouse. Now the reason you don't need a lot of detail here is because the overall picture is actually really far away. So you're standing a long way from this, and this stands on a hill as well. So you're standing a long way away from this. Now that obviously makes this smaller, and at the same time makes the foreground smaller. So the foreground becomes a little bit immaterial in this case, because there's not going to be a lot of detail going on there because you're not going to see it because the detail's all here, because that's the largest part of the picture. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a lighter yellow. Let's go for this one, and I'm just going to lay in some highlights that might be at the top of some of these pieces of grass. So then I'm just going to give it a light blend. Now I'm barely touching that, I'm just putting my finger across. Now a lot of people have a lot of trouble with this blending, and I don't know why. It's you've just got to be light-handed, all right, and not keep going over and over and over. All right, so there's that. I'm actually going to break a piece of that off. By the way, I've stuck to the SAA Pastels as much as I can. I think I might have already said that, of what you can do with them. I don't do many pictures in them, but every now and then I think to myself, you know, I want a challenge, and I also want to do something that perhaps the SAA might want to use. So there's that. To get a little bit more detail into this, what you're going to need to do is to just blend slightly, leave behind some of the brighter areas as pure pastel that you're not going to touch, okay, and then go into it again with a darker green. Doesn't have to be the darkest green in the world. Underlining these areas of highlight, I mean. Okay, because the highlights would sit on top, wouldn't they? And just manipulate it, and mute it down to the tone that you want it to be. Right. Now from there, I can get a lighter yellow, and I can just kind of mess about putting in the emulation of some pieces of grass. Okay, perhaps not quite as harsh as that, but the more colours you have in there, the more realistic it's going to look. I'll just putting in some areas of lighter yellow just to give it a difference. Right. Now the detail you put in is entirely up to you. You know, you just have to get your basis in, and then put the detail that you want on the top. Okay, so there's a dark area here, and just keep going like that. And if you want actual detail, just draw it in. Alright, so maybe just draw a couple of these in here. Maybe just mute them down slightly. Okay. And getting a different look all over. As I say, this isn't the most important part of the picture, so it doesn't require the most important part of the work. And you're getting it to the shape you want it to be. Now, there's no doubt that I will come back to this, and I will try to make it look even more real. But I'm just giving you the basics of where to go with it, and always think about light against dark. Maybe I'm just going to add in a little bit more brown on that one in them areas. Just to give it a sense of realism again, and to show that there's different colours going on. Just to underline highlights, mute it down, touch it in. Just keep going until you think that you might have it somewhere near to where you want it, and then get some highlights in. ever stand back and have a look at it, which is what I'm going to do in a second. As I say, I don't want to play about with this too long, so I think I've been on this long enough. It's not what I'm perceiving to be one of my best pictures, but it's just a bit of a tutorial, so you know, I'm quite happy with what's gone on so far. Maybe just get a little bit brighter down towards the front. And use your finger to shape this highlighted shadow type area. Remembering that the brick wall's there and the lighthouse is there. You can have a couple of highlights in there, just where the sun might just catch some higher bits of grass. Nothing special. I'm not going to make this anything special, as I say. It's kind of nice and soft. There we go. There we go. Starting to look somewhere to where I might want it now. Let's just have a look. I'm going to take a stand back. I'm going to see what I've got and see if it kind of makes any sense. That's what we're looking for really at the end of the day. Yeah, it's okay. It's not perfect. I think what I'm going to do when I come off screen is I'm going to start picking out just a few darker areas against these lighter areas to emulate some grass going in that direction, a bit like what I'm showing you now. So I hope you can see that. But of course, ensuring the dark against the light and that the bigger bits come towards the front, and then you can just, oh sorry, just skim them in across there. Dark against light. That's what you're looking for. I just need to deepen this by putting in some darks, especially towards this brick wall. Darker green. There we go. Get some darker areas in, down towards the front. Right, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to pick out a few highlights with a sharp edge and some yellow green. Ensure that you try to keep them in context with the picture. I mean, so what I'm trying to say is that these are not going to be big, are they? I mean, you know, you'll see bits of grass, but they'll be very small. But I'll just give you the idea of what's going on with the direction of the field. Alright, so that said, then just perhaps blend them down underneath, get them to how you want them to look. You know, a couple of harsher ones, brighter ones, down towards the front. And then just put some dark areas in it. And just keep going like that until you feel you've got what you want. Now, I think the main thing is to just try and get some dark in there, just to make everything stand out a bit. So you can go back to your brown, you can go backwards and forwards with your colours. Just trying to get what you want. I would say that's the way I'd always do grass, but that's the way I'm doing it on this particular occasion, just for speed really, just for speed. And just stroke in the highlights again. Take an account of where the brighter areas need to be. Not too much grass in there, just an emulation of it, or an impression I should say of it. Right, now what you can do from there, because I'm going to leave that now for the moment, is what you can do from there is you can make the highlights whatever you want them to be. Okay? Isn't it terrible when you just can't stop? It's because I don't want to leave you too much in the, you know, wondering what I'm meant to be doing. What I'm saying is I want light towards the back, dark towards the front, and then just different colours in a different direction. Right, I'm going to leave that there. Just mute this out a bit, bring some of the light over that dark. Maybe bring in a couple of bits of colour in there. Nothing special. Just to show that there's grass there. It's muted out. Right, that's my lot for that. I'm not going to do any more to that. On screen anyway. I might just do a little bit off screen, but that's the way forward, and I won't do a lot more, I doubt. Right, so there are a couple of things that we need to finish on here. Now, one of them is the little chimney pots. There's little pots on top of there, and they're in a terracotta colour. So I'm just going to have to find my terracotta colour. Right, now these are incredibly difficult to do. I've got my terracotta colour and I've got a sharp edge, right? Now I don't want them too bright, but it's a case of just touching and drawing up. Alright, they don't have to be anything special again. Right, now what you can do with them is you can just edge them with a pencil, just to show that they're there. If they weren't there, it would make a difference. Alright, and again, if you feel you've got them too tall, you can just draw around them or over them. They'll blend in. You just want an impression that they're there. So they're there now. I'm not going to mess about with that anymore. And the other thing we need to do is we need to look at the what would you call it? The pattern of the window over the window. Right, now this is really important, because over the dark pieces that pattern will look light, but over the light pieces, because it's white again, it will look dark or darker, and then here it will look darker again. So we're going to have to go dark, light, dark. Now that's going to be quite difficult in soft pastel. This is again a thing you can do with your pencils, and you just I am showing you in soft pastels. That's what I intended to do. So some people haven't got pastel pencils as well yet. So this is just a way of showing you with soft pastels. So I'm just going to get a white, and then I'll show you how to do it. Right, the most important thing to do is to follow the structure of the crisscross pattern that we're going to put on here. Now it's going to go on very clumpy, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put effectively the background part to this glass in. So just follow the pattern and put it in there like that, and then just, if you need to, just reinforce your black around it. Okay. Okay, so we've got the crisscross pattern for the furthermost part of that window. Okay, and then we will need to go across it like that. That's the background, effectively. Just use a pencil, or this black pencil, whatever you've got. Okay, that's the background. Right, so I'm going to follow the crisscross pattern that I need to get in for the foreground. Put it in as light as you can, but it needs to be intensive enough. Now look, that's gone on there very clumpy. We'll sort that. Okay, as long as you get the shape in correct, we will be okay. Okay. Right, you can see it's a mess, an absolute mess. That's fine. We just tidy the pastel up with our pencil. Okay, now I'm going to use this pencil, just an HB pencil. I'm going to come down each side of this. What that does is that scratches the white pastel away and leaves the black behind. Okay. And then you just follow that through there with your pencil, and that becomes the dark area that's on the light. So you just follow the crisscross pattern like that. It's just a case of tidying it up at the end of the day. All looks a bit of a mess, but you need to tidy it up. Okay, and I've lost the sky beyond there, so I can just pick it in and again tidy it up with a pencil. It's not ideal, I know that, but it's a way of doing it with a soft pastel. Okay, so hopefully by the time you've done that, just lighten that bit up a bit, you'll have the emulation. Keep picking at it. Getting in the crisscrosses. Tidying up what you had, leaving the crisscrosses behind. Now, please, for future videos, I have to say this, don't let this put you off, because I do much better work than this. But this is just a way of showing you how to move forward with pastels and get a bit of detail. So there's going to be much better videos than this coming along, so please don't think that this is me, because it really isn't. Okay, it's just a case of tidying things up, and they are clumpy, there's no two ways about that, but you just tidy things up. You just keep it light, tidy it up, and you'll get a result. Right, I'm going to leave that. Yeah, I'm going to leave that. It's good enough. Alright? And at the end of the day, it's showing you us professional artists have problems too. just have to keep going over, tidying up, getting it right. Oh, sorry, I'm in front of the screen. I don't know how long I've been in front of that screen, so I'm very sorry about that. There we go. Right. Right, I'm actually going to call that finished now because it's more of the same. It's not nothing special. It's not the best picture I've ever done. And yeah, I just want it finished now. But I want you to just get an idea that you can actually do this with just soft pastels and get this refined detail. Okay. So I'm going to put in my birds, which is what I always do. The bigger birds will be towards the top, so I'm just going to randomly pick an area, and the smaller birds will be behind or to the bottom because they're further away. Okay, always have an uneven number and always make them slightly offset, so like different angles. Right, that's finished. I'm not going to do any more to it. If I do, I'll fiddle about with it off camera. It's just a demonstration that you can get a result with just soft pastels. Right, so next we're going to kind of work out what we've learned, or not learned if you like, but I'm just going to show you or tell you some of the things I hope you've learned. Okay, so what have we learned from this? Well, firstly, we've learned get the best materials you can, but probably start off with lesser materials. Right, now that's kind of where this is. The SAA are great, but they're not the best, and they will tell you that. They're big, they're chunky. Another thing we've learned, break your pastels. Okay, so start off at a medium level if you want pastels, break them and work your way up to better pastels. What else have we learnt? Skies are easy. Skies are really easy. You've just got to keep working at it. Alright, now the sky is really probably the easiest bit. Getting detail, break the pastels again. Alright, use sharp edges. What else have we learnt? Don't do a picture when you're not feeling like it. I think on the first video I really wasn't feeling like it, or the second video it could have been, I don't know, I was tired or unwell, I can't remember. On this video, I actually started off this video with a migraine, but I had to get this video done for you guys. Alright, so what else have we learned? Use lots of colour, right? It's no good putting a green on there and thinking that'll do for the foreground. It's no good putting a green on there and thinking that will do for the trees. You need a dark tone, so that'll be all the blacks and the really dark greens in the depths. You need a medium tone, which is the general colour of whatever it is you're trying to draw, and then you need the highlights. So you need 3 tones to begin with. So after that, you just play about with colour. Like in the sky, you ended up with your blue, your white, your creams, and then you end up playing about with colour, putting in pinks, purples, whatever it is you want to put in there. So end up with 3 tones and then play around, okay? Getting straight edges with chunky pastels, you need to break them again. It's very difficult, and it all depends what pastels you have, all depends what paper you're using. There's all sorts of things we can learn from this, but I suppose the biggest thing is you're not going to lay a colour on there and it's going to make what you want. You have to manipulate it, you have to blend it, you have to add another colour perhaps. You have to keep working at it. You might have to negatively draw into something to get the shape of something you want, because you can't get it by drawing normally. So what I mean to say is, if I was drawing my hand and I was drawing that hand and I was going over the edges and I couldn't get it normally, then perhaps the best thing to do is to draw it and then come in from this side and negatively draw into it and shape it. Okay, so you need to do that. You can put mistakes right. Now, putting mistakes right, I suppose you could use a putty rubber here and there. I've seen people do it. It's not really something I do. If I have a big mistake, I just get a brush, a bristle brush, not too harsh because that destroys the tooth of the paper. But I suppose if I was looking for an example of a softness to use, it'd be like a really soft toothbrush. Okay, I'm not saying use a soft toothbrush, but use a proper paintbrush for that, or makeup brush, or anything like that, and brush that off, and then you'll get most of the tooth of the paper back, and then you can draw over the top again. You have to bear in mind though that you have less tooth to work with this time, so make them decisions based on the mistakes you've already made. There's another thing, mistakes are okay. Make mistakes. If you're going to make mistakes, I've made a mistake on this picture. The mistake is I did it. It's not my best work. I'd choose probably a different paper. I'd choose probably different pastels. I'd choose a time when I felt like doing it, when I felt well. You know, all these things, they all come into play. But I used to be a cyclist, as you can probably see by the title of my artist name. And when you used to train as a cyclist, you used to start off from nothing, just like in art. You used to do something, and it was hard work, just like in art. But then over the course of 3, 4, 5 weeks, you'd get slightly better, just like in art. Then you would take a rest. You would analyse, work out how you trained, just like in art. And then you'd use them mistakes and them ways that you've trained to make the next part even better. So you do another block of training and you'd make that even better. And then at the end of that block of training, you'd be better than you were in the first block of training, just like in art. It's a long, long, long process. You don't become a sportsman overnight, and you certainly don't become an artist overnight. So make your mistakes, use your colours. Don't worry about things when they don't go right, because eventually, given all that training, they will go right. You will get better. But you will have mistakes along the way, and even when you have got better, you will still have mistakes. You will still have days when you want to chuck that picture in the bin. But learn from that. Really, really learn from that. So, as regards to pastels, I could do a lot better than this. There's no denying different pastels would be better. But a starting off point, brilliant. Just keep working at it, keep manipulating it. Keep adding, keep subtracting if you need to, and you'll learn eventually, and you will get better eventually. Don't expect to get better in 4 weeks. 4 years, maybe, but not 4 weeks. So, I know I've had a bit of a preach there. I hope things work out for you. You know, like I said earlier in my video, this is not the best work I do. There's going to be better videos coming along and better work. But it's hard to do your best work in front of a video camera. It's different. I can mess about and take so much longer messing about, manipulating, doing this and that and the other. I've given you the basics of a way to carry on. So I hope that helps. If it does, give us a thumbs up. Not that I'm expecting you to, but subscribe as time goes on. Just like the art, just like the cycling, the videos will get better. Alright? The whole of life is that way, and that's the way I live my life. I don't expect great things, so I just keep plugging away, and I keep learning, and I'm still learning. 48 years down the line, I'm still learning a lot. and it's amazing. Keeps life interesting. Anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you, and whomever, wherever you are, have a great day. Bye for now.